What's up, everybody? This is Tadpole Superhero, and today I'm going to tell you a story. This is a story about Metroid Prime, a game for the Nintendo GameCube that means a lot to me beyond just how awesome the game is. I mean, it has so many accolades and critical acclaim. It's loved all over the place by everybody. Everybody loves it, you know, and it's more than that. It's more than just being a great game. I remember when shortly after the GameCube came out, I don't know how long after, but I had saved up enough money almost enough money to get a GameCube, and it was either my siblings or my parents were fronting the rest of the price for the GameCube. Like, I had to save up a certain amount, which I think was about half of the cost, and then somebody, I think my parents, were going to front the rest of it. It was kind of an incentive for me to save my money because I wasn't very good at it then. And so when we went to get the GameCube in the store, they had a deal going on where you could choose one free game to come with it. And so the options were Star Fox Adventures, Metroid Prime, and I think 2 other games, but I don't remember what they were, because my brother and I were kind of fighting over which game to get. I wanted to get Star Fox Adventures. He wanted to get Metroid Prime, which is funny because none of us, except for me, I'd played Metroid 2 was my first Metroid game, but that was a long time before this, and I hadn't played any other Metroid games. So my brother had never played a Metroid game ever, but he was like, I want to play Metroid Prime. I think it's because, you know, you look on the cover and there's this super cool person in a armored suit with a laser gun on her arm that kind of, you know, is like, hey, every teenager wants to play as an awesome armored character using a laser gun. But I won because I saved up all the money. So we got Star Fox Adventures, but we stopped by Family Video on the way home and rented Metroid Prime. And so we started, you know, we all gathered around the TV, and I got to play first, of course, because, yeah. And played Star Fox Adventures, and I really enjoyed it. I actually still enjoy most of the game to this day. I mean, it's not a perfect game by any means, but it's pretty fun. It opens very slow, but once it gets going, it's pretty fun. And I had a good time, and then it was my brother's turn, and he put in Metroid Prime, and I just watched and was really taken with the game. It was so cool. Playing through this area, first person. I don't think up to that point we'd really played a single first-person shooter. Aside from, I'd played a tiny bit of GoldenEye at a friend's house, like years before this. But yeah, we really weren't versed with first-person anything, so it was a whole new world, kind of, jumping into Metroid Prime and playing from behind Samus's visor. And my brother was he was really good at the game, and I loved watching. And so Star Fox Adventures wasn't completely forgotten, but it was overshadowed. And so we kept renting Metroid Prime because it took us a very long time to beat it. There's just, because the Chozo artifacts in the game you have to find, they can be a real tough thing to find. Some of them are hidden really well. And I had a subscription to Nintendo Power when I was young, and they had an issue that was dedicated to Metroid Prime and had this whole section on Phendrana Drifts, which is the ice area that you play through, basically covering your first encounter in that area, and I think up to the boss that gets you the wave beam, I think, was how far it went. But we used that a lot. That was early in the game. But it was kind of a joint effort between me and my brother. It was another one of those games like Paper Mario that we both played through as a single-player game. But, you know, when one person was playing, the other one was watching, and we rented it multiple times in order to beat it, and we even rented it enough times to beat it. I actually still haven't beaten the game. I've gotten to the last area. I've beaten Meta Ridley, but I haven't gotten to Metroid Prime and beaten the final boss. But my brother did twice. And then we finally went and bought the game because it was the Player's Choice Edition, which was a thing they used to do. I don't think they do that anymore, where they sort of they resell games in new packaging that are, you know, kind of critically acclaimed, hit a certain sales mark or a certain critical acclaim mark, and they redo the packaging with yellow like borders that say, you know, Gamer's Choice or Player's Choice or whatever it was. So we have that version, and they also, when they resold those games, they sold them for cheaper. It was like 20 bucks brand new. So finally bought the game, and Metroid Prime 2 came out, and we rented that as well, but we didn't really get into it like we did the first game. I don't know what it was. We played the multiplayer more than the single player. The multiplayer wasn't very good, but we played that more than single player. But we didn't get very far in it. We didn't obsessively re-rent it to beat it. I think my brother actually, after a couple of times playing Prime 2, he went back and replayed the first game, I think. Don't quote me on that. But so years go by, and Metroid Prime 3 is out. And it had actually been out for a while. But my brother had a Wii, and he had gotten it just for Super Smash Brothers, because we, by that point, were huge fans of Smash Brothers Melee, and he got it just for Brawl, and we were just loving that game so much. And he also had Wii Sports and Wii Sports Resort. I think those were the only 3 games he had for the system, and he didn't want any others. Because he wasn't a big fan of motion controls. He was glad that, you know, in Brawl you can play with the GameCube controller, and that's what we always did, because that was much preferable to playing with the Wiimote or any of the other stuff. He wasn't a huge fan of motion controls outside of Wii Sports. But one year for his birthday, I got a Metroid Prime 3. Because I was like, man, you know, we love the first game. Let's check out the third game. It's supposed to be really great, and people everywhere are saying, oh my gosh, the motion controls are amazing. So, alright, I got him the game and for his birthday, and he was excited about it, and he started playing it. And I wasn't in the room when he started playing it, but he called for me and called me into the room. He sounded so pathetic. And he said, and he held out the controller and said, "Can you play it?" Because he just did not like the way the game controlled. So we talked back and forth, and eventually struck a bargain where we'd each play back and forth for, you know, short sessions. Like I'd play for 30 minutes and he played for 30 minutes. That deal fell apart. I basically was the only one who played the game, and he just watched and gave me advice and tips and commented. He was my commentator. But I played the game. He did not take to those motion controls, and I didn't either. You'll actually see the footage you're watching right now. It's from the Metroid Prime on the Metroid Prime Collection pack, which was made for the Wii and gave the motion controls to all of the games in the trilogy. And I'm not a big fan of the motion controls. I really like how it controlled on the GameCube controller, but yeah, so we never beat Metroid Prime 3 either. I played it for a while. We didn't get very far in the game. I don't remember how far, but not very far. And it just kind of faded into our memories. Excuse me. Yeah, that's kind of the story. It's sort of funny how me and my brother both just love the first game. It's fantastic. I love going back to it. The second game sort of just kind of happened, and the third game, because of the motion controls, we both sort of didn't really take to it like the first game. It's interesting how that can sometimes happen, especially because the second and third games are both really highly regarded in the trilogy as well. Weird, but whatever, you know? It just goes to show that not every game is for everybody. We had a lot of fun with the first game though, and I love going back to it. I actually, part of the reason I even got the Prime Trilogy Collection, which I'm playing this on the Wii U, because it's like really expensive and almost impossible to find the Wii version, but you can download it to your Wii U for like 20 bucks, which is fantastic. And that's part of the reason I played it on the Wii U, is because the first Metroid Prime game is a very visually dark game. There's not a lot of brightness to the environments, and hooking up your GameCube to a HD TV, there are literally areas in the game where I can't see anything. And I turn up the brightness on the TV and it just washes everything out, so it looks terrible. So yeah, I was pretty happy to get a version of the game where you can see it really well. I mean, it's a beautiful game. They all are. They all look really great. But it's just funny how things like that happen with different games, that you really enjoy the first game and then other games in the series come out and they just don't resonate with you the same. So anyway, guys, let me know in the comments below what's a game series where the first game drew you in and you loved it and you still love it, but then later games in the series, every later game in the series sort of didn't resonate with you the same. Whether it's a trilogy or a really long series, whatever it may be, let me know. What's a series where the first game you love and the rest of the games you could do without. Thanks. Ugh, I can't talk. I talked this far. I got this far. That's my quota for talking today. So anyway, thank you guys so much for watching as always, and let me know in the comments your stories about games. Until next time, guys, remember to always be fantastic.